Next weekend, CBS is playing Men in Black. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night at 8. In the film, there's a scene where Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith are talking on the park bench. You'll see Woolworth between the twin towers. The Freedom Tower will be 1,776 feet tall. It's expected to be completed in the year 2009. But only 72 floors will have people in them. About 1,000 feet above that space will be TV antennas, broadcast equipment, cell phone towers, or other built facilities. The lattice work will imitate the Brooklyn Bridge. An abstract sculpture of the Statue of Liberty, the Freedom Tower. On the right side, to the right of the Colgate clock, Goldman Sachs building that gray glass tower. Before September 11th, they were going to move their whole operation here, cheaper taxes and rents. After September 11th, Goldman Sachs wanted to make a statement about remaining in New York. Now only 2 floors will go to Goldman. They have to find tenants to rent the rest. By the way, Colgate-Palmolive expects the rent. Railroad and ferry terminal. In the peak years of immigration, 1909 to 1913, over 300 trains left here every day. Average it out. 1 train every 4 minutes. 150 ferry boats per day. A ferry every instant. Imagine you're new to the country. You don't speak the language. Find your way to the right one.
I can't find my way to the
gallery
right
and
one.
exhibit center. Today you can go to this building and buy a ticket to visit Ellis Island and the statue. That's the Jersey ticket. The New York office is on the left. Along the shore of the park, Battery Park, along White Street. Castle Clinton behind us. An Army fort built for the War of 1812. Never fired a shot. Who likes pictures? Samuel Ellis and his family love pictures. Daddy was a good Daddy. Samuel Ellis bought his family 3 acres of Picnic Island in 1774. You ever wonder what they did with all the dirt when they dug out the subways? Check it out. The island is 9 times bigger today. What you see opened in 1903. It was built to handle 5,000 immigrants a day. Within 10 years, 1909 to 1913, more than 10,000 a day showed up here every day. Your ship might have to wait 3 days for its turn. And you're whining about Midtown traffic. Immigrants would take a ferry from the ocean liner to Ellis Island. They would get marched up a set of steps after their luggage was dumped on the first floor of that main hall with the 4 towers. Now, as they're going up, they don't know. Doctors are watching them climb. Anybody limping might need surgery. Huffing or puffing, a heart condition. The person might not get in. Would you pass? All your babies? Elderly relatives? 98% of those who tried got in. Less than 2% were sent home, but that's the reality somewhere. Today, the Museum of American Immigration. But if you really want to understand this country, remember the 2 nicknames of Ellis Island. It explains so much. The Golden Door and the Island of Tears. Captain will make a turn. Both sides of the vessel will get an equal view of the statue. No need to rush to the one. But meanwhile, reach into your pocket. Pull out 2 copper coins, what we call pennies. Take 2 pennies, put them together like they're a sandwich. That's how thick the copper is on the statue. 2 pennies thick. Now, reach into your pockets. Pull out 30 million pennies. separate the copper from the zinc, you have enough to make your own. Look, even this one's turning green, just like the statue. Have you seen the light? Yeah, in her right hand is a torch. The flame is copper, but it's covered with 24-karat gold leaf. That's gold thinner than a sheet of newspaper. It reflects sunlight in the daylight. Special spotlights here at night. And that's what gives this work of art the full title. The full title is Liberty, Enlightening. For 7 continents, 7 seas, silver crown, as 7 moons. We want to enlighten the world about democracy. It's a more enlightened wager. So she's dressed in Athenian Grecian robes. Athens, Greece, the birthplace of democracy. Now, myself, I was born in Pennsylvania, nicknamed Keystone State. The most misunderstood part of this monument, what's in her left hand? It is not a book. Look, it has a notch on the top edge. It's a keystone. Now, they always gave the keystone the notch, because you need to hold on to that notch to drop it into place. It's the last stone in a stone arch. It's the middle stone. Grab a hold of that notch, pull it out, the stone arch collapses. We write our laws in Latin. That's our modus operandi. Written on this keystone in Roman numerals, July 4th, 1776. The Declaration of Independence is the keystone of our democracy. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. But for many in this country, we defaulted on that promise. Democracy was a dream deferred. That's why her right leg is behind her left. She's walking. She's breaking free of the broken chains of slavery broken at her feet. The hope was once this nation put an end to slavery, the Civil War, it would light the way for the rest of the world to follow. Slavery is still a problem in the Sudan and other nations. The New York City Marathon begins at the Staten Island Toll Plaza of the Verrazano Bridge. A different type of racing may be coming here. NASCAR won the track. More than 22 million future Americans raced through those narrows. Lady Liberty on our left is designed to face east to reach those. The French government had no money to develop what he found. His charts were forgotten for the most part. Englishman Henry Hudson discovered them, but the British Empire would not fund his expedition, so that's why he went to the competition. The Dutch. The Dutch Empire and the British Empire fought over this harbor for 60 years. Hence our state nickname, the Empire State. The colors of the Royal Dutch crest, royal blue, white for purity. Holland, or the Netherlands, is ruled by the House of Orange. Check out the colors of the Staten Island Ferry coming up now. Look at the city flag. That particular ferry, the Governor Herbert H. Lehman, is the ferry that Barbra Streisand sang aboard in Funny Girl. Ferry Melanie Griffith, Rose Who Work and Working. Governor's Island on the right was captured by about 12.5 miles long. The average width is 2 miles wide. Now I want you to imagine an island of solid ice, longer, 3 times wider, and twice as tall as any building you're looking at. That's what carved out this harbor. More than one glacier like that. Now, the Atlantic Ocean flows into the channel cut out by the glacier, back into the ocean again. We call it the East River. We're heading into the East River now.
Talk to me about it.
It is not a river. It's a tidal strait or estuary. It changes direction with the tide. Ocean connected to ocean through the channel. You're going to sail around the island in about 3 hours, and never once do you leave ocean water. The Atlantic Ocean floods into the Hudson River. It's 300 miles long, roughly. 70 to 90 miles of it is saltwater. See, it's an ocean cruise. Glaciers are God's bulldozers. When they scrape up against continents, they leave behind trails of debris. Can you spot a trail of glacial debris 126 miles long? Yeah, it's on the right. It's called Long Island. Brooklyn and Queens are on Long Island. The Long Island on the right shields the smaller island on the left from storms. Now where the ferry terminals are on your left, that marks a Native American trading route. The Dutch made wider for wagons, so it's called the Broad Way. Broadway starts here. Goes north to Albany. On the left, in front of the buses, the downtown Manhattan heliport sticking out in the East River. Featured in the films Working Girl and the Thomas Crown Affair. Behind the heliport in the trees, the New York City Vietnam Veterans Memorial, both found at 55 Hunger Streets in Manhattan. On the right, Brooklyn Heights, featured in the Cosby Show and Moonstruck. Now remember, Dr. Cliff Huxtable? In Moonstruck, Cher's father was a plumber. One of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city. Think about why. For 1883, there are no bridges across the East River. Brooklyn, in fact, at that time was a separate city. You want to move to Brooklyn, you moved by boat. Took a lot of money to do. Oh yeah, speaking of money, on our left, you'll see the American flag on a flagpole on the pier. To the right of it, a little white New York Waterways ferry boat. The wide street behind the ferry is Wall Street.
Where is it?
Our nation's first capital. April the 1st, 1789, our Congress met for the first time at Federal Hall on Wall Street. 2 weeks of debate, and they ratified the U.S. Constitution. The end of the month, April 30th, George Washington was sworn in as president on the steps of Federal Hall. Imagine, the birthday of our Congress. April 30th. It all happened on Wall Street. The South Street Seaport is on your left. Historic ships, the Waver Tree in maroon and gray. In black, the Peking with the ochre ribbon. And that's only part of the museum. Pier 17 is only part of the wall. It's a museum. Lines hold ships to a dock. Wrap steel like lines, you've got something lightweight and strong. German immigrant John Franklin figured out how, and the result is over you. The steel cable makes the bridge possible. The steel cable makes elevators possible. Elevators make skyscrapers possible. There's no way to explain,
Wow.
but to say the Brooklyn Bridge changed the world. Proved all those could be done. Robert Fulton's Ferry Empire State Park is between the bridges here on the right. Nice little park here. Then the Broadway Bridge that connects Manhattan. On the right side of it, Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn. On the left side, Canal Street, Manhattan. The tall red brick tower on your left, One Confucius Plaza in the heart of Chinatown. The informal border between Chinatown. The B, D, N, and Q subway trains run on the lower level of the Manhattan Bridge.
Wow.
The neighborhood on the right, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass, is nicknamed Dumbo. See how they're converting the old warehouses into apartments. Home of the Dumbo International Artists Festival. The neighborhood's so popular now, artists are having a difficult time living. On our left, Peter Stuyvesant's Patty Farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Huh?
Something totally flew in my eye.
The Dutch word for farm, boerderij, we mispronounce the Bowery. On your left, the Bowery, the Lower East Side, once the most densely populated place on the planet. How would you like to visit a German immigrant home during the Great Depression of 1870? An Italian immigrant home during the Great Depression of 1929? Go visit the Tenement Museum. The Tenement Museum is at 90 Orchard Street on the Lower East Side. Tell them Dave sent you. On the right is a power plant, and behind it, Wallabout Bay. During the Revolutionary War, this is where the British kept their prisoner of war ships. Samuel Ellis would leave his island and leave this country after the war because during the war, our army burnt down all the homes of civilians suspected of being British sympathizers in response to Wallabout Bay. We know the place on the right by what united those two nations 160 years later. On your right's the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Well, first off, remember the Maine? It was built here. The Arizona, sunk at Pearl Harbor, built here. During World War II, 60,000 people, mostly women, worked here in shifts 24/7. The battleships Iowa, North Carolina, the mighty Missouri were all built here. Private industry here today. No more shipbuilding, but yes, a little ship repair. Mostly cement construction. The garment industry, breweries, and under construction on the right where you see the tall red crane, motion picture and TV studios. Stay tuned to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. On your left, East River Park, built out of bombed out Bristol and London. The convoy ships, after dropping on tanks and heavy equipment, had the rubble loaded into cargo. Some of that dumped here when they returned to the main directly in front of you now, a gray bridge. Celebrating 42 years of restoration. Williamsburg Bridge. Why 4 decades? Remember the budget crises of the 1970s? Bankrupt New York City cut cut bridge repair and maintenance. By the time we resumed work, a lot more work and money was needed. Today, a contractor can be paid a bonus for every day they finish a job early. Work is actually now ahead of schedule on the Williamsburg Bridge. How are you going to remember the names of these three bridges? What do you want for graduation? BMW. As you're sailing north, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, Williamsburg Bridge. Domino Sugar on the right has closed. The property has been sold. It will become condominiums. But hey, our snack bar is open, and hey, are you in the mood for something sweet? Intermission time. Get up, stretch your legs, stretch your back. Visit the snack bar or restrooms downstairs. I'll see you in 10 at the UN, the United Nations, coming up on the left in about 10 minutes. Once again, if you guys have any questions, or even if you don't, my name is David. Which will be built on both sides of Newtown Creek. Long Island City, Queens is where they're tearing down the abandoned Daily News plant. To the right of the creek, Greenpoint, Brooklyn, closest to us, a sewage treatment plant. Imagine the improvements here. The abandoned chemical plants behind us over your right shoulder, the archery and volleyball venues. 1 year from July, we find out. Someone's going to ask, at Gold Pyramid you saw on the left is New York Life. New York Life Insurance. To the left of it, the taller gray tower, their chief rival, Metropolitan Life Insurance. Okay, as you were.
As you were. That's where we was, the farmer. Oh, so sorry.
The Chrysler Building comes up on our left, the bright, shiny stainless steel top, triangular windows. Next to it, the building that says MetLife, native New Yorkers still call the Pan Am Building. And the United Nations is here on the water in front of them both.
That's huge.
First, locate the white dish at the UN. To the left of the dish, behind the cafeteria, a little taller is the flag parade of the UN. Behind the dish, right to the dish, the long building on the water, the Security Council building. And behind it, the building with the curved roof and the brown dome. That's the General Assembly building. Inside the dome is the part you see on the evening news where the delegates meet. Donald Trump built the world's tallest apartment building next to the United Nations. You see that on our left in the dark brown chocolate glass. Now, the Secretariat building is from 1946. How many fixtures in your home are left over from 1946? So, since that building needs renovation or replacement, what they may do is build a new secretariat on the property between Trump's building and the water and take away all those people's river views.
Wow, this is...
Revenge. We'll see if it happens. On the right, the tallest building in Queens, the Citibank building, green glass. 60 stories tall.
Oh yeah.
And then what gets your attention, though, is the ruins on the right. Designed by James Renwick. You see an old smallpox hospital. It used to be the mentally ill, the physically ill, and criminals were dumped on Welfare Island. Today this is called Roosevelt Island. This end is being redeveloped. That old building might become a Marriott Conference Center. Big black barrier along the water on the left is a temporary floating barrier for waves. A temporary floating highway is behind it. The white building in the distance with the slanted roof, by the way, is the City Group Tower. And the barge and tugboat will create a wake that might cause us to rock. Be careful. Again, remember, standing permitted downstairs outside. On the right side, Kohler Goldwater Hospital. For those with long-term spinal care needs or chronic diseases. Our New York Knicks sponsors Kohler Goldwater's wheelchair basketball team. Kohler Goldwater Hospital. On the left, the neighborhood of Sutton Place. See the house with all the glass on the top floor and the ivy? That belongs to the Secretary General of the United Nations. Go underneath the Queensboro Bridge. It connects the borough of Queens with 59th Street. Second Avenue. Sometimes called the 59th Street Bridge, but it's properly the Queensboro Bridge. And as we go under it, look up, you'll see the cables from the Roosevelt Island Bridge. Tram car over your heads now. Great views of the city at night. Featured in the film Spider-Man, the first one. In New York, not only do we sell you buildings and property, we'll sell you air. Look on the left over the highway. You'll see a building on V-shaped stilts, Rockefeller University. The university paid for the air rights to build. On the right, a great farmhouse from the 1700s. 1796, Elizabeth Blackwell grew up on Blackwell's Island. That was her family home. She became the first female physician in the United States. That's Rockefeller. And then on our left, the cream-colored building, New York Hospital. Part of Columbia Cornell. It's a teaching hospital where David Letterman and Regis Philbin had their bypass surgery. Behind this hospital is another Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Care Center, one of the best cancer care facilities in the world. Next door on the water, the Hospital for Special Surgery, one of the top orthopedic care or sports medicine centers in the Northeast. Hospital Row on your left.
Hospital Row.
A big, beautiful black glass tower on our left, 1 East River Place. A one-room studio here rents for $3,000 a month. On the right side, you used to get a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,000 a month. But that's changed. The state has declared by default Roosevelt Island to be a self-sufficient community. Once an apartment crosses into the $2,000 a month rent threshold, it exits rent control. It's decontrolled. The state lists the population here at 11,000. A more realistic figure is 15,000. Some cases, people are illegally renting vacant rent control apartments trying to be grandfathered into them. In other cases, the apartment is designed for 2, but since it's been decontrolled to bring the cost